Today, I'm going to show you some signs for things in the school schedule. And we'll start with those ones. So the sign for school is you clap your hands, or like a lot of teachers will do like a clapping pattern to check if you're listening, and you can copy it. So it's just like that, just your hands come straight down. The sign for schedule is your fingers are going to make kind of a grid form on your hand. So up and down and across. Sometimes the schedule is written like that on a grid. And then when it's time for things in the schedule, the sign for time is you point with kind of a little hook finger to your watch, or where your watch would be if you wore a watch, right on your wrist. So we can say it's time for whatever the next thing is. So we'll start with in the morning. So the sign for morning is open hand, comes up like this. This is sort of like the edge of the earth, and there's the sun coming up in the morning. So in the morning, I might say good morning to people. So good, it's just like good and thank you are basically the same sign. You could say good morning to people. And a lot of schools, we start with a morning meeting. So we'll do morning, and then meeting is sort of like this. It's like 10 people are all putting their heads together to talk like this. So that's morning. So that's meeting. Often a lot of people will start even before morning meeting. They might have breakfast at school. So that's a letter B. There's kind of a B shape on your hand. You put that right by your mouth for breakfast. The traditional sign for breakfast is you say morning plus eat. But a lot of people use this one as kind of short for breakfast. Same thing for lunch. The traditional sign is you do noon, which is just like that, and eat. Or you can do it with an L for lunch like this. And snack has a quite different sign. For that, we're showing it's just a little meal. So you pick up little tiny food off your hand and eat it. Is one sign for snack. There's a few different signs for snack. Now we get to our school subjects. The first one I'm going to show you is reading. And for that, if you take two fingers and come out from your eyes, that means to look at something. So if you just did that, it would mean look. And for reading, we do that look sign, but going back and forth on a page that we're reading. So that's reading. Writing is super easy to remember. You just pretend like you're writing on your hand like this. Then math is a little more tricky. You're going to make an M, which is sort of like a lot of people know the sign for water, which is a W. If your W's get tired and go down, that's a letter M. So your thumb is kind of holding your pinky out of the way. And then you take those two M's and kind of push them side to side like that across each other. It sort of looks to me like you're adding two numbers together. So you could think of it that way if you like. So that's math. And often in reading or math, we have groups for those. So if you have groups, you can do it with a letter G, which is just these two little pinchy fingers, start near your body, and you reach around like that. So it's groups. You might have, so you can say we have our reading groups, for example. Then it depends on what school you go to, but you might, instead of having reading and writing, you might have something called humanities. And that there's not a sign that includes all of humanities. We can just do H-U-M for short. So H is two fingers, sort of like the G for group, but with two fingers it's H. And then hold it upward, it makes a U. And then M, we had that M for math. So you say humanities. Or you might have a thing called social studies, which has SS. And that's the letter S. It sort of looks like that's the diagonal line in the middle of an S. And you just go SS for social studies. If you have science, that's kind of a fun sign. You pretend like you're pouring something out of a little pouring spigot like this, and you're pouring some chemicals in to mix them up in a chemistry experiment. You probably don't do that in elementary school, but that's the sign for science, for any kind of science. And then we have specials. This is the sign for just anything that's special, like I have something special to show you. But you could say, oh, what's our special today? We have, and a lot of people have music for a special. And that kind of goes, it's a little bit like playing the violin, but it's kind of up and down your arm like that. Art is a lot like writing, but with a pinky finger, and you pretend your pinky is your crayon or marker that you're drawing with. And this can also be the sign for drawing. If you're drawing a picture, you do that sign. Library uses an L. Remember we had the L for lunch. If you go in a circle, that's library. And I think of that as like the books are going around to all different people when they're circulating and everyone borrows the books. Library. And people usually have PE, which is two fingers down for a P. It doesn't really look like a P, except for, when you draw a P, there is a line that goes down. So you can think of it that way. P. And then E. E is a little tricky to make. When you draw a lowercase e, there's kind of a straight line across a horizontal line in the middle of a lowercase e. That's how you can remember that one. So P-E. And a lot of schools you might have health. And health, you have flat hands on your chest, pull it forward. Or you might call it wellness. That's going to be the same sign, health or wellness. And if you have computers or tech class, some people have that. Tech goes like this with your middle finger touching this part of your hand. It's called the heel of your hand, like this. And I'm not sure exactly why, but it sort of does look like plugging in a computer. You can think of it that way. If you have a special that's called computers, you could do it with a C and go in a circle. The old computers had tape drives that went around in a circle like that. But if you use a computer, everyone go get your computers because we're going to do some writing on the computers. You could use that sign. Then we have one more thing here, which is recess. And for the sign for recess, you can sign the sign for play, which is the letter Y, kind of shaking down low. And then the sign for outside. And so outside is your big open hand like this near your face, and then it gets small when it goes there. It's like somebody going outside and they're getting small when they go out on the playground. So play outside. Or if it's pouring rain and you have to play inside, you can do the playing and then inside. You can use that sign also like, it's recess is over. It's time to go inside, kind of going under the cover of the school. You can also use the sign for break. You might have a break or have a movement break, or you might call recess your break or something like that. And it's sort of like this is a list of all the things you have to do. And right in there is your break. And that's that heel of your hand coming right in between this task and this task. So that's any kind of break that you might have during the day. Then at the end of the day, we usually have pack up time. And that one's really easy to remember. Just pretend there's a backpack sitting in front of you and you're putting all your stuff in. So that's pack up and go home. The sign for go can be handy for like, we need to go to art or whatever. It's 2 fingers in kind of a little curve. And you do it in the direction that you're going. Like you might do it towards the door if you're going somewhere out the door. Go home. And home is here and here. I think of that as like where you eat and you get a kiss on your cheek. So that's going home at the end of your day. All right, so see if you can practice using those signs when you're talking about your school schedule.